Hello, my wonderful math students. I'm on the wrong slide. Today, we're going to spend one more day talking about solving equations from story problems. A little bit more difficult today since it's the third day. So let's take a look at what these are. These are the problems from your note sheet, again, so you can be filling these in as we go. I want you to notice that on the top of your sheet and on the top of this problem, I have three things. We're going to be defining the variables, which means let's figure out what variable we want to use, like what letter we're going to use, but also how the two different dimensions of this problem, since it's a rectangle, are going to work together. And then we'll write an equation. Most of the problems today, in fact, all of the problems today, are about perimeter, which means we're just going to add up the length of all the outside parts and they'll give you the total. And then we're going to figure out the solution, and we want to make sure that we're putting a label on there. I'm also going to suggest that it does help if you draw a picture of these. So, great rectangle there. It says the length of a rectangle is 3 times the width. So if I would call this, for instance, the width, W, the length, instead of calling it just L, I would have that as 3 times the width. I really want to be able to have just one variable for the whole problem. Use all the same letter. So the width, this is our where we're defining it, is W. The length is going to be 3 times as much. Now, since we're talking about perimeter, that means, and it's a rectangle, that means that if the right side, for instance, is W, then the left side also is. And if the bottom is 3W, then the top is also 3W. So if I want to find the perimeter, I would just add up all of these sides. So I could, let's start at the top. I would have 3W plus W, or 1W, plus another 3W, plus another W, gives me the total perimeter of 96. I'm not going to bother with labels in the problem. We'll just make sure that we get a label on our final answer. So when I add all of these W's up, I've got 3 and 3 is 6, and then another 2 would be 8W. Oh, sorry about that. I don't know why it's doing that. 8W equals 96, and then we would divide both sides by 8, and I'm going to get that W, if you just divide that on your calculator, you would get 12. If that's the width, would be 12 centimeters, then, so this is 12, 3 times 12 would be 36. So if I would go around and put in my 12 over here and my 36 over here, if you add all that up, that does work out to be 96 centimeters. So what we needed here, the three parts, we're going to, on the left side, we're defining our variable. We're picking a letter that we're going to use for the whole problem. And then in the middle part, we're going to write our equation and solve it. And then on the right side, that's where we put our answers with our labels. So for this one, same kind of problem. This is another rectangle problem. It says the width of a rectangle is 12 centimeters less than the length. This time, let me see if I can draw a better rectangle-ish. The width is 12 centimeters less than the length. So I would say that this is the length. I use a cursive lowercase l. I don't like to use a capital L because capital letters are for formulas. And I know that's kind of picky right now, but the width would be 12 centimeters less than that, which means the length minus 12. So the variable that I'm using is L. If you don't like an L, you can use an uppercase L if you need to. You can use a different variable, use an X or an M or whatever letter you want to use. So my length is L minus 12. And again, you can certainly label all of these, but this would be L minus 12 again, and this would be L. And then my full perimeter, if I would add all those up, so I have the L on the top, oh, that was a really bad one, plus, I'm going to put this in parentheses because that's on the right-hand side. I just want to see that that's one side, plus the bottom, plus the left side equals 156. Now, if I add all those up, there's an L, there's an L, there's an L, there's an L, 4L. And then we've got either you can do a plus, a negative, keep, change. That's a negative 12. That's also a negative 12. That's not what I meant here. I wanted this to be 24. Now, to solve this, I would add 24. So 4L equals 180. And then when we divide by 4, the L would be 45. So that's what the length is. That's 45 centimeters. So this is 45, and 45 minus 12, that would be 33. And again, you can feel free to go all the way around and label that this one's 45 and this one is 33. And if you add all those up, that'll give you the 156, which we had for a perimeter up here. So one more rectangle. The length of a rectangle is 2 centimeters less than 7 times the width. So each one of these, the translation has gotten a little bit more difficult. So we've got our rectangle, and the length is 2 centimeters less than 7 times the width. So they're talking about the width. That's my variable. 2 centimeters less than 7 times the width. I would ignore this 2 centimeters less than for a second. If I just said 7 times the width, that would be 7W. 2 centimeters less than that would be taking away 2. That's that tricky subtraction. When we say less than, that means that I had to have the other thing to start with, and then I take 2 away from it. So again, this would be a W. This is going to be a 7W minus 2. And then the perimeter is 60, so I want to add all of these up. If you don't want to write out all 4 sides, if you've got the picture here, you could say, well, this 7W and this 7W, that's 14, and then here's another one that's 15 and 16. So this is going to be 16W. And then I've got a minus 2 here and a minus 2 here would be minus 4. Then we're going to solve this, so we'll add 4. 16W equals 64, and W is going to be 4. Oh, I forgot to label in here 7W minus 2 for my length. So the width is 4 centimeters. The length, 7 times 4, that's 28. 28 minus 2 would be 26. Now, I haven't said this yet, but on rectangle problems, to find the perimeter, you could just add one of the lengths and one of the widths, and then multiply it by 2, because you really have 2 of each of those. So if I add the 4 plus the 26 that I have over here, this 4 and this 26, that's 30. That'd be halfway around. Double that, I get 60. There's my 60 centimeters. The last 3 problems are not rectangles. They're about triangles, which means, again, a little bit more of a translation. The perimeter of a triangle is 76 centimeters. Side A of the triangle is twice as long as side B. Side C is 1 centimeter longer than side A. So as we're labeling this, we have to decide, are we going to use A, B, or C as kind of our base variable. That first one is talking about side A of the triangle is twice as long as side B. Now, I'm just going to draw, for each of these triangle ones, I'm going to just draw a very general triangle. I don't really care if it's to scale. I don't care if one side is twice as long as another side. I just need to be able to label them. So we're going to say that this is side A, this is side B, and this is side C. So Side A is twice as long as side B. So if this is my variable, if I go with B for my variable, twice as long for this one would be 2B. And then it says that side C is 1 centimeter longer than side A. Well, side A was really this, 2B, and it's 1 centimeter longer than that. So 2B plus 1. So we would add up those three sides, noting that they all have B's in them. You know, we don't want to have like an A and a B and a C have three different variables in our problem. So I would have 2B for side A, and then here's side B, and then here is side C. I've mentioned this before, but I've got that in parentheses just to say that's the name of one of the sides. The parentheses don't do anything. I don't have any distribution. It's just to organize this a little bit. And the perimeter is 76. So when I add up all my B's, I've got 2 of them here and 2 of them here. That's 4. And then here's one more. That's 5B plus 1 is 76. And I'm going to just go ahead and solve this. That should be pretty easy by now. So I'll have 5B equals 75. Then dividing by 5, I get that B is 15 centimeters. Side A, they told me, was twice as long as side B, so 2 times 15 would be 30 centimeters. And side C is 1 centimeter longer than side A, so 31 centimeters. And again, if you would add all that up, you do get the 76 centimeters that they have right there. For number 5, the first side of a triangle is 8 meters shorter than the second side. The third side is 4 times as long as the first side, and the perimeter is 26. So in this one, they're not using like A, B, and C. They're just saying first side, second side, third side. So it doesn't really matter which one we're talking about when we're doing this. It doesn't matter like labeling A, B, and C. But I'm going to kind of go with the same, like the first side is going to be this side over here, and then this is going to be my second side that they're talking about, and then here's the third side, and it doesn't matter which one's which, really. But if it says that the first side of the triangle is 8 meters shorter than the second side, let's say this second side is just, let's say X. But if it's 8 meters shorter than that, that would be X minus 8. And then the third side is 4 times as long as the first side. So this is the first side. If I want 4 times that whole thing, I'm going to have that in parentheses. Okay? So you can either leave it like that, or you could distribute and get that that's really 4x minus 32. In my translation, I'm going to say that the second side is x, this is x minus 8, and here I will keep this with the straight translation, but when I write my equation, I'm going to just do this as long as I've got my distribution done. So here's my first side. Here's my second side. And here is my third side. And that's got a perimeter of 26. So by now you should be feeling pretty good with this. Go ahead and solve this. If you want to pause it and solve it on your own and then just check it with mine, that would be perfectly fine. Otherwise, I'll just kind of talk through this. So here's an x, and then another one, that's 2, and then 4 more gives me 6x. And then I've got a negative 8 and a negative 32, which would actually be, sorry about that, which would actually be a negative 40. So I'm going to add 40. Which works out very nicely. So x, my second side, is going to be 11 centimeters, or meters this time. The first side was 8 meters shorter than that, so 11 minus 8 would be 3 meters. And then the third side was 4 times as long as the first side, which would be 12 meters. And if I would add all those up, I'd have 3 plus 11 is 14. 14 plus 12 is 26. Okay, here's the last one. Triangle has a perimeter of 25 meters. Side A is 2 meters shorter than twice side B. Side C is 3 meters longer than side B. These are all being compared to side B. Side B is going to be like my important variable. Okay, I'm still going to say it does not hurt to have a label here. A is 2 meters shorter than twice side B. So ignore the 2 meters shorter part for a second. Twice side B would be 2B, and then I would say 2 meters shorter would be minus 2. And side C is 3 meters longer than that. So I would have 2B minus 2 plus, oh, never mind. I didn't read it carefully enough. It's 3 meters longer than side B. So that would be B plus 3. Ugh. Sorry for the extra boxes on this. I'm not quite sure how to use my stylus yet very well, I guess. These three are then going to be added up to get my perimeter. So I'm going to have 2B minus 2 plus B plus B plus 3 gives me my total. If I would add all those up, I've got 2 B's, and then one more is 3, and then one more is 4B. And then I've got a minus 2, or add a negative 2, and add a positive 3, which is going to give me plus 1. Okay, and we're good at solving this kind of problem now. We get rid of our 1. So B is going to be 6 meters. Side A, 2 meters shorter than twice side B. So you could just substitute into this translation right here and go 2 times 6 is 12. Minus 2 is going to be 10 meters. Or you could, go back and read that and translate it from there again, but you already have the translation. Side C is 3 meters longer than side B. So if side B is 6 meters, then this would be 9 meters. And if you add all those up, I do get 25 meters. So today's worksheet is this Batman worksheet, and it's kind of long and there's not a lot of space. So you're going to want to use notebook paper or the back side of your worksheet or whatever. And again, I'm saying I think it's a little bit longer than what you need to do. So I want you to pick 6 of the problems on that worksheet. Make sure that you are writing your equations and showing your work. It's not set up with the defining your variables and getting your answers like the note sheet was, but you can certainly do that on your own notebook paper. When you're all done, make sure that you take the learning check in Schoology and let me know if you need any help.